Hi, Hannah. How are you? How's everybody doing? Thank you. Thank you, Mad McLeod. Did I say your name right? Thank you. I have no idea what you mean by that. Where did the Good, the comment went away. Thank you. I have no idea what people, they come in and they think that a boomer is going to know what does that mean? So they think that they did a flex and I don't have a clue if it's a flex or not. Hi, sweet Kathy. How are you? I said your name right. Thank you, Mad. You've given me a lot of peace through this time. I appreciate that. That's what we try to provide here to people who have been harmed by some kind of religion. Hi, Ken Mom. Glad you're here. How is it in your part of the world today? Where are y'all from? Let me know what the weather is. Here in Indiana, it is super humid, and I think 80s. We're about to get some rain. Hot in Florida. Yeah, are you still? Yeah, we are. We're close. Tifton, yeah. Austin, Texas. It's hot there too, isn't it? Right? Having my protein shake as usual. Clouds in California. Kansas City. How's the weather there, Vicky? Glad to see you all here. Fort Wayne, lots of Hoosiers today. Hi, Turtle Squad. Lots of Hoosiers. That's awesome. Glad you're here. 107. Yeah, I heard that it's like, there's an Elwood, Indiana. I heard it's like you're in a horrible, horrible heat wave. Be safe. 107 is just like oppressive. How's it there in southern Arizona as the campfire turns? Kansas sounds good. Cherville, Indiana. We are really representing Indiana today. Yeah. Greetings from South Carolina. How's the weather there? Yeah. Doesn't South Carolina get a lot of humidity as well? Franklin, Indiana. That's crazy. Rebecca is about 30 minutes north of Saffron. It's hard to be deconstructing in Indiana. Boy, isn't that right. Vermont, 78 degrees. That sounds lovely. And Michigan, West Virginia's in the 70s. That's wonderful. Hi, Nana. Saw you join. Yeah, so Matt, I wanted to talk about that. Deconstructing in a red state is hard because just as I put up there, deconstructing is lonely and lonelier when you don't have support around you, which many of us don't. Because if you're watching, who's watching that the 7 mil documentary on TikTok about TikTok on Netflix? Anybody watching that? Your friend lives in the same state as me, Indiana, Big Slay. Start it. You started it. Yeah. What is the name of it? Are you talking about the documentary? I'll need to get it right. It is called Dancing for the Devil. Dancing for the Devil. And it's very interesting. And I bet it's hot in Mexico. There's a part about leaving that very much resembles the deconstructing process because there are people who are recognizing that it's a cult. This these people who are part of these dancers that are represented by this church called Shekinah, or the pastor of this church. And a lot of troubling things are happening inside that church. And some of the stuff that the dancers were talking about, the episode I saw last night was talking about, no spoiler alerts here, but some of them that left said how lonely it was because it was your entire life. And how many of us had that kind of churched experience? Thank you for the follow, Shark831. How many of us had that type of church experience where you were conditioned to not only rely on the church for your guidance and your insight and your inspiration, but were encouraged to have that be your family over all other relationships? So it makes it more difficult to leave. The more community you can create around that, the less likely you are to leave. And there was even a part where a dancer said, I even thought about returning just because I don't know what to do with myself. I have no contacts. I have no resources. That's intentional, especially with a higher control cult. The more you have to rely on them for everything, the less likely it is that you're going to find the courage and the resources to be able to leave. Thank you for the gifts, Lady Keela. Yes, it's on Netflix. Did I miss some questions? So Kendra, I'd have to have some context on that question. Do you have any advice on how to shift from a parentified sibling role to a peer sibling role? I would need to have some context on that to know exactly what it is that you're asking. B says, I've been lonely lately, haven't had a girlfriend, just working on myself. What do I do? Keep working on yourself. Keep working on yourself, B. Just keep working on yourself. That is where, when we feel the need to work on ourselves, that's often where the groundwork is being laid so that our relationships will be more authentic. It doesn't mean it's not hard, and it doesn't mean it's not lonely, and I'm certainly not being sympathetic to you, but when we're working on ourselves, that's stuff that we often have to do alone. So don't be afraid to continue to do that. I didn't catch the name of the movie. Dancing with the Devil. It's Dancing with the Devil. Dave Positive, this is you're asking how I must be saved. Hi, Heather. It's good to see you. Dave Positive is asking, how must I be saved? This is a deconstructing community. So there's not going to be any evangelizing or proselytizing when it comes to that kind of belief. For many of us, we've deconstructed from those beliefs related to salvation, and I don't teach that. What I teach is deconstructing from some of those beliefs that were weaponized, that made you think that you have to be a certain way, which oftentimes means suppressing who you are in order to appear to be a good Christian, or to appear to so you can get the merits as they are defined by your religious community. So, okay, Dave Positive, we're not here to proselytize, so you can go on and be muted. I wanted to think that you were being honest, but I can tell that you're just being a Bible thumper, and we won't do that here. So, as you can tell, I have amazing mods who immediately took care of you, but nice try. All right. What other questions do we have here? We had a lot of questions about deconstructing on Monday, so that's the reason why I made the image behind me today focusing on that, but we can go anywhere with our stuff. I think people are so lonely in the USA, we lack community. It's easy for cults, churches to get people. Absolutely. I think that's part of it. If you watch this Dancing with the Devil, this Netflix documentary, they start with kids who are either abandoned or neglected, but talented. And so you are either they're going to use your talents and convince you to give up the vast majority of your income, or you're going to work for one of their many businesses and make like $100 every 2 weeks and say that that's part of your spiritual inheritance, if you will. Thank you, little bear. Let's see. Reverend Nick Brown says, rebirth is a matter of understanding your personal relationship with your divine. That sounds very mystical. Thank you. There is a pinned question, and I can see it today. My fiance paying mom would like us to have a religious ceremony, but we would not. What are you gonna do? What are your options? I mean, I'm sorry. Let me liberate your daughter. I like that, Andy. Someone's holding your ceremony hostage based on their beliefs. That's another way of saying this, right? Someone's holding your ceremony hostage based on their beliefs. And you're now asking what you're going to do. What are your options? How does your fiance feel about this? If both of you don't want to have a religious ceremony based on your future mother-in-law's beliefs, what are your options? And when you look back a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, what are you going to regret? What are you going to regret about what you remember about this sacred ritual, a portal through which you're going to be passing? What kind of regret are you going to have because you have been held hostage by someone who's willing to fund you as long as you allow them to gatekeep what kind of ceremony you're going to have? That is a sad reality to a lot of people who feel like they have the right to what the ceremony is going to look like, what their children's lives are going to look like. So what are your options? Weed through that really, really good, because the biggest problem the challenges that you will face will be the regret and possible strain that this can cause on your relationship, because it's your future mother-in-law. So why can't there be more boundaries around your relationship and your voice versus prioritizing that of the mother because she's holding the checkbook? And that tells me that there's going to be other places in your lives where this person is going to interfere and not prioritize your voice over how things are going to go in your life. Because she got away with this, why can't she get away with other things? Think about the tension. I wish I could give you more. Do I need to invite Rev Karla shop? Lynette, do you need to come up? I wish I could give you more advice other than to say, this is the reality. Your ceremony is being hijacked, held hostage by someone who wants to have the ceremony that they want you to have. And I'm sorry about that. So talk to your fiance and see what your options are. Did you need to say something, Lynette, or am I just bringing you up?
Nope, I'm just here to say hi.
Thank you. Appreciate it. One of our awesome mods. And by the way, if you haven't done so, I have two other accounts. Rev Karla shop and revkarla.too is I think those are the two. I'm on the other one, I can tell you. Those are my two other backup accounts. I would very much appreciate if you would follow those. I would like to get those to 1,000 followers just in case something happens to this account and I'm not able to go live here. There's a wave of troll activity that many of us in this deconstructing and sacred activism, any of those who have that kind of voice, we're experiencing a high increase in troll activity. And that means that many people are losing their accounts Many people are having to rely on their backups. So that's where we are. All right, let's see. Hi, Kendra. Stina says 20 years ago, pre-deconstructing, my narcissistic pastor father preached a 30-minute sermon at my wedding despite me. I am so sorry. Boomer Body says, when asked, do you go to church? I bet. Let's see what we got here. So the person who just said that her father preached a 30-minute sermon. Oh my gosh, I can't count how many funerals and weddings and things that should have been joyous occasions that became those really, really just depressing gaslighting sermons, because every one of those high control evangelical pastors saw it as an opportunity to evangelize and convert people, no matter what it was. We had 2 high school students who were unalived, and I was in a small high school, so you can imagine the impact that had on my high school. And basically the entire town closed down for their funeral. And it was a dual funeral that the local pastor from a Christian church officiated. He never once mentioned their names. In the entire funeral, you have an entire town, 2 16-year-old girls, you have an entire town mourning the loss of these girls, and he never once mentioned their names. He made the whole thing about coming to Jesus Christ. I remember as a 16-year-old myself thinking how wrong this was, sitting there just with tears pouring down my face, because I saw, even at 16, what a horrible thing to do. When you have the opportunity to comfort people, you don't even recognize the fact. The only thing he said about them was the fact that he hoped they were saved. He hoped they were saved. And nobody said a word. They left there. There were many of us leaving there thinking, what a jerk. He didn't say, now this is also the 70s. So this is really, really high patriarchy. You didn't mess with the white man standing at the podium. He had all the power, and he knew it. He knew nobody was going to say anything to him. He could say whatever he wanted to. But many of us left there thinking that was the worst funeral we had ever experienced. And to deal with our own grief, we certainly weren't going to turn to a pastor or a church. And people wonder why people are leaving church. Well, look inside. Take the mirror and look inside. I have story after story after story like that, of how they have no idea how to take care of the person's well-being, because the person's well-being is competition to the perpetuation of the institution. If I acknowledge your pain, if I acknowledge that you have mental, emotional, or physical pain in the world, then you're not facing towards the church and the needs of the church. As they would say, you're taking your eyes off God. How many of us heard those kinds of sermons? You're taking your eyes off God. You're taking your eyes off the prize, because we're supposed to suffer in this life. We're supposed to suffer, right? That's how we get to heaven, full of sorrow and suffering. Our reward is in heaven. Well, I got started. Ashton Salmons says, I grew up fundamentalist Christianity, and it was so traumatic and so damaging. Yeah. And I think it's important. Thank you, Stacy, for reminding people, like, tap, 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 share, share, share. It helps in this universe, especially when we have people like Doug earlier who said, come to Jesus and be saved. But I want to go back to what Ashton was just saying. Many of us leave because we can't take it anymore. The oppressive, suffocating theology. We don't know what exactly all the problems are, but we know we simply cannot take it anymore. But we don't even realize that what we're taking with us is trauma. We don't know that because we have been so conditioned and indoctrinated to be detached from our feelings. Though none of all that was minimized. Even our grief and our sorrow, we have no idea how to deal with any of that. And then we realize it's in a bucket called trauma. And so as we're deconstructing, we have to extract from all of that to find where the healing begins and who we are. Who are we if we're not what the church says we are? Who am I? What do I believe? And that's where we start the journey towards our healing. And that sometimes that takes a lifetime, and that's okay. Because to me, that's a more authentic spiritual path than just being spoon-fed from the pulpit. A bunch of weaponized belief that is intended to make you believe in your spiritual and moral superiority over others. We know that that's not true. There can't be authenticity around that. Thank you, Heather. Rock and Robin, I love that. Your username, Rock and Robin. Church is supposed to be the hospital for the healing, full of unconditional love and support. Okay, yes, in its purest form. In its purest form, I always say this, in its purest form, religion should be the conduit through which you can find peace and healing. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that out there in this vast network of organized religion, there aren't places where you can find that. It absolutely exists. But for many of us, that's not what we found. We found religion got mired in the muck of religious patriarchy that made the central focus maintaining power for the white Christian man. Because in that power is money. All you have to do is look through the landscape, especially here in modern American evangelical Christianity. You can see it. When you've got pastors, mega pastors worth millions and millions of undisclosed funds, because here in America, you don't have to say what you do with the money. You don't even have to say how much you receive, and you don't have to say what you do with the money. You can pretend that you're giving all this money to world hunger, that you're collecting all this world hunger, and there's no auditing agency that you're required to report to say what you did with that money. So how do you think that Joel Osteen ends up with a $10 million mansion? How do you think that stuff happens? Thank you for sharing the live. Thank you for the follow, Brandon. What's BS, Cortona? Heather, health reasons, no one really visited them and then turned up to their funeral. Okay, I'm coming in on the middle of a conversation, I can tell. Yeah, churches were hospitals full of the sickest people. Okay, I saw the rest of your comment, Heather. Julie says, I wasn't raised in a church, but I now work at one. Some things that are said are so off, I can imagine. Oh, Cortana, yes, you're right. The church has no oversight. It is. Thank you, Heidi Ho. You're always our biggest cheerleader. I hope that's not offensive to say that I call you a cheerleader. I so appreciate you being here. Yeah, there is no oversight. Now they'll talk about this evangelical. I'll have to go look it up. Can someone remind me, mods, can you remind me? Thank you, Dark West Coaster. I'm so glad you're here. It's an evangelical oversight committee. And okay, so there's a story recently where they just flagged a church. It might even be here in Indiana, because they came out of the standards of this evangelical financial oversight. And when you ask for financial statements from an evangelical church, they'll tell you, well, we don't have to give you those financials, but we are accountable to this evangelical oversight committee that's all inward focused. It has nothing to do with how you're going to spend your money that's given. It's got weird legs, in other words, on what it's actually for. So I'm going to dig deeper into that and try to remember what that is if you'd like to know more. My church had a food pantry, but you had to attend services to get some goods. Yeah, that happens a lot. I attended a church where they would have a coat drive, but they got the opportunity to pray over you and get you saved. Your church voted to leave the UMC. Julie, is that because, so the UMC proper is the one now that is ordaining the LGBTQIA plus community, correct? So some churches schismed away from that because they do not believe in ordaining gay clergy. Am I remembering that right? Okay. Yeah, that's very sad. And I'm sorry that I am sure your financial well-being depends on that job. And I hope for you that at least you are safe and you are able to be supported in whatever ways you need to be, and that you have ways to take care of your emotional and spiritual well-being outside of that experience, because I can't imagine what that must be like for you. Saltzbaum, hi. I didn't see what the first part of your comment was. Tax the churches, Dark West Coaster. Yes, tax the churches. Tax them. It's the whole thing. So how many of you know about how a 501c3 operates in the United States? How many of you know what a 501c3? This is complete nonsense here. You mean in this live or in America? The rainbow is a gift from God. Who says it isn't? My church supported my family as missionaries after the divorce. They wanted it back. Oh my goodness. Okay, so 501c3s, that's how you organize as a nonprofit here in America. And for most 501c3s, you have to file a 990. I believe that's what it is, a 990 each year. Those 990s are available for public record. So if you go to someplace like guidestar.org or charitynavigator.org, there's a lot of times they'll ask for a free membership, but for the most part, you can see an organization, a 501c3's 990. And then based on those 990s and what a nonprofit is doing with their funds, they'll get a rating. So the higher the rating by GuideStar or Charity Navigator, the better off your nonprofit is. That means that they're using the vast majority of the donations that come to them, they are using them for their mission, for their stated mission when they filed their 501c3. They look at percentages of administrative expenses versus overhead versus things that actually go towards the mission, okay? Churches are not required. Anybody who signs up as a ministry of any kind are not required to file a 990 that is disclosed by Charity Navigator. So if you go out and you look at Kenneth Copeland Ministries, just go out and go to Charity Navigator or guidestar.org, type in Kenneth Copeland Ministry, which we know that he's the richest televangelist in America, reportedly worth about $300 million. You will not find one public report about him, not one. It'll all say unavailable because he's filed as a church, and he is not required to tell you how he got that $12 million to buy that private jet. Not one. Oh, Dark West Coaster. Probably why Kris Kardashian became a minister. That is a whole rabbit hole that we need to go down. Because absolutely, there is a church that she founded where she funnels money through it. Now, I'm going to have to get my facts around that. But if you want to hear more about it, we can absolutely talk about it. But you are 100% right. That's what she did. That's exactly what she did. I'm not sure, is she a minister or did she just found a church? I'm not sure she actually is ordained, but you don't have to be ordained to call yourself a minister. Witch of Endor, reincarnated. Hi, Witch of Endor. Hi, haven't seen you for a while. Have you seen the National Apostolic Reformation? I have not. Mods, can you grab that for me? I'll have to go see what that is. Have to go see what that is. Don't know what that is. Tap, tap, tap. Thank you, Heidi Ho. Thank you. Yes, please tap, like, share, comment. Comment all the good stuff. Thank you. So where are we? Any other questions? Any other comments? Anything y'all want to talk about? Are we talking deconstructing today? Are we talking Christian nationalism? What do you want to talk about? I actually had something I wanted to talk to you about, and then I started writing something else. Hi, Joe. Were you, your last name began with a G? I think I know who you are. I think I do. Their watchman to decree is scary, I bet. Okay, hi, it's good to see you. I hope you're okay. You said you had to change your name. I hope you're okay. Happy Pride Month, Claudia. Happy Pride Month. She was ordained in 2011 to officiate a wedding. Lady Keela, what do you mean you feel sorry for God? Not his way. It's only my very small opinion. Talk about my beliefs on hell, please. I don't believe in hell. I have become less, Violet says, I've become less scared of the supernatural since deconstructing. That kind of happens, doesn't it? You know, and I have friends who deconstruct. Again, what I always say is deconstructing is not what you believe at the end of your deconstructing, or whether you just continue to deconstruct and that becomes your spiritual journey, but it's who you become. Because when we start to deconstruct, we also realize that we need to decolonize. There's a lot of entitlement. There's a lot of arrogance. There's a lot of spiritual and moral superiority that that's part of our indoctrination. We are taught that we should be the loudest voice in the room. We are taught that we are the smartest. We're taught that we deserve to be up front. We're special. There's stars in our crown. I didn't even realize how bad it was. Even though I think because lack of self-awareness is also part of that deconstruction. I mean, part of that indoctrination, lack of self-awareness. You're taught how you're supposed to be, and who cares what the world thinks of you. But one time I invited a friend to church who said to me, "Oh, Karla, I love you, but I would never want to be a part of your exclusive Christian club, and don't ever invite me again." That rocked my world. I had no idea. And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "No, I'm not saying you, but I know what's at your church. I'm not going to be a part of that. So don't invite me again." And I also realized that was my first time really experiencing a boundary with a friend. That this was somebody, if I wanted to stay in relationship with them, I needed to honor that boundary. And I very much was going to, because I wasn't really big in evangelizing. Yeah, I would invite people to church every once in a while, honestly, but I didn't sit down with people and say, "Have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?" See how easy that just flies out of the mouth even after all these years? Because we're taught to talk like that, and to share the love of Jesus and the good news once you give your heart to Jesus. So please share this with the white man in your life. Of course, yes. The superiority complex I've had to work through. Yeah, and I still see it a lot. I'm going to tell y'all something, and this is going to be are you still friends? Yes. Yes, we're still friends, Claudia. And she's very proud of me. And she shares a lot of my work. She's been one of my biggest cheerleaders in my personal life. Yeah, for sure. I want to say something to some of you. And in your deconstructing, and this might be uncomfortable, but since I've been on social media, yes, I've had to block a lot of trolls. But the second largest category of people that I've had to block. You ready? Who do you think it is? Yes, Chineko. Or a color scene evangelist. Yeah, I have. Anybody have any guesses who the second largest? Salt's mom, yes. White women who are deconstructing. Churchgoers I consider them the trolls. Those are the ones who come in here and say, "Yeah, this is a heretic space. You're making sure people go to hell." All that stuff. White women who are deconstructing. We get to a point where I have said something that's made them so uncomfortable, and instead of looking at the mirror that I've offered them, they knock it out of my hands and say, "How dare you? How dare you think that you can say that to me? I'm not the problem." And they double down, and then they bring their people along to tell me what a horrible person I am, and that this person is so nice and you shouldn't expect that from her. She's doing such good work here. No, she's got an indoctrinated belief that's still harming people. And sadly, I just have to end up blocking them because they ain't going anywhere. You hit the problems on their head so they get defensive. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there were a couple people who just, it got nasty. It got nasty. My sister-in-law, Southern Baptist, said that to me last week. Which part? What'd she say to you? Totally agree with you. I think you can say anything to me because God deals with my problems. It's the spots they haven't let go of yet. Yeah. And I know I'm still doing it. I want to tell you all what I do probably at least once a day, if not more. Thank you, Violet. If not more, I go into spaces of where, especially decolonizing spaces. So I will go in to listen to Black creators because there's several here. If you're not following in the letter N, as in Nancy, growth, in growth. This is Thinker. This is her. That's her profile here. She goes live at night and for many hours, and she deconstructed and dove into deconstructing the Bible. So she will hang with the apologists. But she also brings it from a place of this is a Black space. And so I'm taking notes and I'm listening. Then I go to Mr. Jones and I listen about decolonizing and I get educated there. And then I often listen to Ebony Rose. And these are places where they're going to challenge the white person to stay silent and listen to what they're teaching us. So go find those spaces and be silent, take notes, and deconstruct and decolonize. Who is also great? I missed somebody. Kimberly, did I miss somebody that you said? Yeah, follow Thinker. I mean, did you hear this morning's? I mean, it got good. It was really, really good talking about the whole thing around Jesus's ministry to Israel versus when it changed with Paul. Oh my God, that was so good. Yes. Oh, that's how you found me? Well, that's awesome, Hannah. Well, I'm honored that's how you found me. I've been in a couple of their lives just for a minute when I get invited, and I'm always like so nervous, like, oh my goodness, I've been invited. It's always I'm always honored. Hi, Greg. I see you're in here. Thanks for being here. Hi, Ovidos. Am I saying your name right? Glad to see you from Colorado. How's the weather there? Hope it's doing well. Everybody good here today? What's the group name? Which part? Which group name? What did I say? Thinker? Hi, sex educator. How are you? You doing all right? Just getting my lunch down too. Yeah, it's kind of hot in different places. I'm doing well. Charlie, did you get lost on your way to Bible study? I know that some church around you is having a Bible study. And you just got lost because we don't proselytize here. That's right, Salt's mom by Charlie and the Upside Down. And just like that, the mods are on it. And just like that, the mods are on it. I don't know if it's just that they think they're going to come here and that's a flex. That's a flex that anybody, so, because this goes up and down between, 70 and 120 people, and that's okay. But you got to know this is a deconstructing space. Does anybody right now feel like they need to go find Charlie's profile and find out what church he's going to so you can join it because you need to repent? What am I doing out here? Did that work on anybody? Come on, be honest. Who's going to go find Charlie now? Oh, thank you, Lady Keela. I'm glad you're here. No, so it doesn't work. And here's the crazy thing. Every once in a while, one of their lives will show up. Or I'll get a video. Do you know what I do? Now, I want y'all to take notes right now. Do you know what I do when I end up in a Christian space? Guess. They're searching. Charlie, they're searching. I just keep scrolling. Exactly, Violet. Exactly. Just move on. Why are we... What you got space over here. TikTok is a big space, but this is the group that is doubling down on a toxic faith and basically saying we are not. Yeah, that's a good one, Marie. Just say I'm not interested. I do that, but now I've noticed that when I do that, it seems to increase. It's been something weird lately that I'm getting more and more of those. So I don't know why they're ended up on my profile or on my FYP, but I don't understand what part of that they think that our existence over here is hurting them. Since following you, algorithms are sending religious stuff by the tons. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. So maybe there's something there. Maybe they don't know what to do with me, so they're trying to put me someplace. Do you see room for post-deconstruction Christianity? I bet it is, Joe. I'm sorry. And it could be certain words. You're absolutely right. I like that question, Leslie Ann. Do you see room for post-deconstruction Christianity? I think when I go back to what I say about deconstructing is less about what you believe and who you become, there are many people who don't remain unchurched. There are many people who find their way back into some kind of spiritual community, whether that's in a Unitarian or a Unity, or some people do find their way into a more progressive church, like your Episcopalians, some Presbyterian, something like that, where they find community because it's still meaningful for them. And I do think that there's evangelicals here who still hold on to a lot of their beliefs, but have deconstructed some as well from some of that weaponization, who certainly affirm the LGBTQIA plus community, but believe in the Trinity, believe in the resurrection. I think that's why but we can still be at the same table today together and respect one another, because we don't have to believe the same thing. That's right, Rev Karla Shop. Your spirituality is uniquely yours, and that's what I think. As we create community, that's less about these are the requirements of the things that you believe in order for you to be in community with us. which, right now in high control religions, you absolutely have to do that. But I think that will become less and less. Even hearing the words affirm LGBTQIA is healing to my soul. Absolutely. I have a resource guide called the Welcoming versus Affirming Church. And I think that, we're going to have more people. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for being you and spreading this message. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. I think you will hear people be more informed about what a welcoming church is versus an affirming church. And why, just because a church puts out a sign out front that says you are loved, that doesn't mean anything. Actually, that sign is triggering to me because I want you to prove it. Now, I want you to show me right now how many of your in leadership are members of the LGBTQI plus community. Tell me how many of your pastors, because I'm sure you have several because you're a mega church, how many of your pastors have officiated a wedding of the LGBTQI plus? How many members of your community that you have baptized into membership are members of the LGBTQI plus community? How are you a part of sacred activism? How are you educating people in the threat of Christian nationalism? If you're not doing that stuff, that sign out front is more about making sure there's enough people in the pews tithing. And you got this fence up there that's going to gatekeep actual membership. And what you want them to do is, quote, die to self. And you're going to teach them about rejecting who they are and give up, quote, again, their words, lifestyle. I don't know how many people I now see these welcoming churches who have support groups. They have support groups for the LGBTQIA+. They're just doing it all right. Are they? Again, who is in leadership? And I'm not talking about just someone who says they used to be gay. No, I want to see them out loud and proud and married and with adopted kids, whatever it is. I want to see that. And then you are dealing with an affirming church. Until then, there is not a group of people in America who is capable of masking who they truly are and masters at marketing than the modern American evangelical Christian. It's the truth. They know how to brand themselves, and they started it when they moved away from denominational names into, quote, non-denominationals. All of a sudden, that was the modern thing. Yeah, well, our church is non-denomination. We don't have anything to do with the Southern Baptists. Honey, you're still paying dues to them. Your pastor was ordained from them. He went to one of their seminaries. Your toxic theology is just behind the rock band. Yes, it's still there. You gotta own it. You gotta know it. You gotta ask these questions. A rock band and a pastor in jeans does not equate to progressive theology. It often means the exact opposite. And we have to be accountable, and we have to be allies. Davview, I missed something that you said. Hi. Oh, I'm sorry, Davview. I hope you're okay. I see it now. I'm sorry. Tap, tap, tap. Like. Thank you. I thank you all so very much. I am going to cut this short today. I've got some things going on, but let me pull up. So if you haven't seen, go watch Dancing for the Devil. You're going to learn about what a cult is, but it can also be very triggering for some of us who came from high control religion that had cult-like tendencies and manipulative tactics. My next live teaching is June 11th. Where is it? Is it here? No, it's not. But you can pre-order my book, Deconstructing. Please look at that. You can find that information where my profile is. That does help in the book world. And What else do I need to say here? I will answer your questions. I'm gonna come back around to the Kris Kardashian thing. I'm gonna look at the Evangelical Financial Accountability Board and find out what that is. June 11th. Thank you, Lynette. I teach It Is Well With My Soul, the grief journey, because that is one of those things that many of us did not. We learned how to suppress our emotions, especially around grief and sorrow, and we are holding unprocessed grief in our lives. It's sitting there, and oftentimes when I would be in spiritual care with people, we would get to a place where there's unprocessed grief. So I teach those in my Sacred Conversation series. Those are live teachings off of social media, so you can register for that where you see my face. Question about asexuality, please. Did you ask it today? Hi, Faith Unraveled. You have to join me sometime, but I got to go today. Sebastian, yes, I do. You need to go see my playlist. All eyes on Rafa. Offered your hand in true friend. I'm going to try to watch this. Thank you, Rev Karla. Thank you, Lady Kia. Hi, Stephanie. I'm sorry I missed you. Stephanie, I talked about, Stephanie once said I just started watching it. I was hoping to hear your thoughts on it. Yeah, I talked about this early. It was from your follow-up on Monday. Let me see. What's the question? Okay, I'm gonna answer Salt Mom's question. I can't find it. Where is it? Are you? I'm waiting for the question. Are you typing in Slack? Oh, okay. So it's in the inner circle, Sots Mom. I'll go there. I'll go there and answer it. I'll go there right now. I promise I'll do that. Thank you for the gift, Lady Keela. Thank you all so very much. I'll be back here Friday at noon, where we will continue our deconstructing journey together. Hope it's a wonderful day wherever you are. I hope it's not too hot if you're in the Southwest. Bye, Stephanie. I'll talk to you soon. Text me later. Chineko, thank you very much. Make it a wonderful day. Remember, happy Pride Month. Try, if you're out loud and proud, continue to enjoy this. If you have to be closeted, just remember you are seen, deeply loved, and there are millions of us waiting to be here to celebrate you when it's safe for you to come out and be so. And also, for those of you who just are learning to be an ally, it's okay to be a clumsy one. And what I mean by that is you're afraid to mess up. You are going to mess up. You're going to say the wrong thing. We apologize and we keep learning. There's a state of mindfulness that comes for being an ally, but it doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. It means we just keep trying. So come to these spaces. This is where we learn. Thank you, Jen, for the beautiful hearts. Thank you all so very much. Make it a great day. I'll see you Friday at noon Eastern.